and how your environment affects your well-being, not only your
Yes.
physical health, but your mental and your emotional health also. And you're like, what? Environment can do all that? Yes. When we talk about the whole debate, controversy in regards to nature, nurture, you guys know that nature refers to what? Your genetic or your genetic or biological predispositions, but nurture is strictly environment, okay? It's strictly environment and influences and how that has contributed to who you are today and who you will be in the future, okay?
Right.
So what's the deal with environment?
Yes.
Let's have Paul.
Let me tell you something. The internet's an amazing thing, and I know that it creates problems sometimes. Because people abuse the internet.
Yes.
It can be. You have to be careful what you do. People can steal your ID.
Yes.
And things like that. But other than that, when you need to find some information, it's the place to go.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. It really
Not like
is.
me.
It
When
really
I was
is.
a kid, I had to go to the library.
Me too. Seriously. I mean,
or dictionaries.
yeah, the internet really took off now for the past
I meant
15
encyclopedias.
years,
You
for
know,
the past 15,
Encyclopedia
20 years.
Britannica and
You're
the
right.
World Book
You're
Encyclopedia.
absolutely right.
You know. And there used to be years ago, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but door-to-door salesmen that sold encyclopedias.
Yeah.
That was the only way that so you didn't have to go to the library. That's where you got your knowledge from.
Yep.
Unbelievable. But internet,
Times are
great.
changing, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Times have changed.
Clutter,
Okay.
how clutter affects on your life, how clutter affects you and what you can do about it. Okay.
And we're going to talk about all you guys out there, everybody, all of us out there. And it doesn't matter if you live, I'm telling you now, doesn't matter if you live in a studio apartment in the city or in a country home, if you have your own house or if you're rented, it doesn't matter. You've got to take care of your environment because it has a direct effect on your mood and your life,
Right.
okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So don't think we're just talking about homeowners. No.
No. This
All right?
is anywhere you live.
Anywhere.
This is your environment.
That's
this is
right.
your living space.
That's right, and you've got to take care of your living
And even
space.
at work too.
That's right.
If
It's
you have
your
a little
responsibility.
If you have a little cubicle or you have a little office, it's important to keep that maintained.
Absolutely, and Paul's going to talk about colors and
Right.
taking care of it because again, your environment, there's a direct correlation with your mood, your health, your lifestyle based on your environment. So
Okay, creating a healthy, energetic home or office relies on diligence. It's much easier to let your home or office become cluttered and messy than it is to keep on top of the papers, throw out the old magazines you don't need, and get rid of stuff that's been hanging around.
Yes.
For that reason, many people don't bother with this kind of routine maintenance, and that's how spring cleaning should be looked at, is maintenance of your house.
Yes.
But it shouldn't only be in the spring either.
That's
I mean,
right,
I think
that's
every
right.
couple of months you need to go through. If you have magazines on your coffee table that are 5, 6, 7 months old, and you've read them a couple of times, and they're just laying there, either donate them or dump them.
Or dump them.
Dump 'em.
And I would go beyond that to say that you need a little like a corner for maybe a magazine rack or something. I don't think you should have it on your coffee table. I think you should have like coffee table books, like a huge book or two on your coffee table. And we're talking
Right.
about how to edify your home and and make it look better. So I'm going to be jumping in there and giving you my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, what does a dirty, cluttered home do to you?
Ooh,
Good question.
Ooh.
It makes you feel tired. A cluttered home is a visual and psychic drain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then when we use the term clutter, I mean, a lot of you guys out there do know what hoarding means, okay? And if you don't know, just jump online and look it up. We've done a show on hoarding before a couple years ago, but it can get pretty bad, pretty drastic. And folks who are hoarders, who just collect items even though they don't need it,
Right.
they don't think they have a problem. They think their environment is just fine. They could have magazines or collectibles or what have you from the floor to the ceiling,
Oh, yeah.
and they can't even walk in their house, yet they feel that there's nothing wrong with them, that's their belongings, and they're fine, leave them alone.
And there was a show, I don't know if it's still on or not, called Hoarders. Have you ever seen it?
I teach about hoarding.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the show. I've seen some.
I don't know if it's still on or not.
My students talk
but
about it.
Some of the houses they go into are
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I mean, people don't even throw their garbage away.
There's different types of hoarding.
I mean,
and
that's
trash hoarding is one. I swear to you, where people you walk into somebody's house and you're knee up in trash. I'm talking
Right.
about boxes boxes, banana peels, just trash.
Right.
And it is a mental illness, in case you guys out there don't know that.
Yeah.
And some people hoard, like, again, books, magazines, collectible. They think because they have 750 shoes, like me. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But they think because they have like so many shoe boxes, all in one room, stacked up neatly, labeled and all that, that it's not hoarding.
Yeah,
it
that's
really
still
is.
hoarding.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, whether you're a sloppy hoarder or
a
a neat hoarder, you're still a hoarder
You're
if you
still a
stick that
hoarder.
stuff.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at that show, American Pickers, you ever watch
No,
that
I
too? You haven't
haven't.
watched
What
that?
is it about?
But it's two guys that go out, they go around the country and they pick through things looking to buy things and then they resell them.
Oh.
But they go into some places where they literally open the door and they have to climb in to get into a room. I mean, it's craziness, the things.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see if you collect certain things and they're all in order and stuff, but that's still hoarding.
It's
though.
still hoarding.
Still
Well,
hoarding.
Yeah, it's still hoarding.
All right.
Okay, so
So anyway, clutter makes you also feel hopeless. Simply put, too much stuff is overwhelming and you can't handle it. So we throw our psychological hands up in the air in frustration.
wow.
It's very interesting what that does. And how does clutter hurt you? It makes you feel out of control in your life. If you have a lot of clutter and then you feel like, oh my God, you can't find things or just add to the clutter, then the rest of your life becomes out of control.
But you know what? Too, a lot of hoarders, a lot of folks who love a mess, they will say to you, you know what? I like everything like this because I could find everything, anything. You just tell me what you want. I know where it's at. And sometimes they can.
They can.
But most of the time, no. Yeah, being organized is a lot better. But okay.
And then, all right, so what does a clean, organized home do? And I'll just go through the highlights.
Okay.
It gives you a sense of calm.
Okay.
Nice, clean house you walk in. Gives you back your health. That's right, because dirty, cluttered houses can make you fatigue, and, you can, just get sick from having all that clutter there. And put you in control of your life. If your house is well maintained, then the rest of you is maintained better. So it's a good idea. So that's how clutter.
And in regards to clutter and hoarding and all that, because we're talking about health issues.
Right.
A lot of the time, a lot of dust mites.
Oh,
can,
yeah.
a lot of dust can accumulate over time when you're not touching magazines and books and all that, and then you have to breathe that stuff in, and that's no good for your health either. Yep. And some folks are like, well, I may have a packed clutter home, but I'm clean. I dust everything.
Right.
I clean everything. That's still. Mm-mm.
And don't forget, a lot of the dust in your house is the skin that sloughs
That's
off.
right.
They're little,
That's right.
all your skin is constantly giving off.
That's right.
Little dry spots. The older you get, the more you slough.
That's right. So how do you know? How do you know if your home is
dust.
too clutter? How do you know if we're talking about you? Let's give them some examples, okay? So if you're coming up, if you live on this, in a home and you've got stairs and you're trying to climb up your stairway and you've got to like turn to the side
to get by
because you've got so many piles of boxes on the stairway, we're talking about you. We're talking to you, okay? And it's all in love. It's all in love, all right? We're not, criticizing anybody or anything like that. We're just trying to get everybody, a little bit healthier, okay? So if you have rooms in your home, if you've got, like, let's just say a 5-bedroom house, okay? Which is a large house.
Right.
A large house. And you live alone?
Yeah.
And every inch of this 5-bedroom house is covered, there's no space. There's no space in this house because you've got things from, back in World War II. I don't know, when you're from your grandma's house, from your mom's, what have you. And you have no place to put anything else and you cannot move in this house. We're talking about you. We're talking to you. All right?
Now, here's a problem. What happens if you're neat and I'm a clutterer?
Oh, that's a big
and you're
problem.
together, so.
And you're coupled, you're married or you're living together. Oh, that's a huge problem, especially for the neat neat person.
So if anyone has that problem out there, if Walter puts up our number, you can give us a call. If you're living with someone that you consider a hoarder or sloppy, and we'd like to know how you deal with it.
Yeah, how do you
I mean, do
deal
you
with
constantly
this?
walk around
Oh
following
my
that
gosh!
person
I was
and
gonna
picking things
say,
up?
what if, ladies, what if your husband or your boyfriend that you live with, it's a mess, it's a hot mess, right? And they've got clothes and dishes and everything all over the place, and you're a neat freak, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do you handle it? Let me tell you something. If you are getting married to somebody who is very, very sloppy, you better think about this, because you better think about the marriage. And I'm going there. I'm going that deep. Think about the marriage, because you guys will be fighting every single day, especially if you are a neat freak, okay? And that could cause a divorce.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's our number, 203-624-8348.
Yep.
And if you live with somebody that's a hoarder or a messy person, we want to hear from you about how you
That's
deal
right.
with it. But I think, here's the other thing too. I think some people get married and they don't know. Maybe they're dating someone that lives with other roommates, and they've been to that other person's place and they see maybe there's a little bit of a mess, but they don't realize that maybe that person was creating all the mess.
Exactly.
Just figuring that, okay, it's all these people living together
Right,
and roommates,
right.
so it's a little
Oh,
messy.
it's terrible.
And then all of a sudden you get married and you get a place together and you find out who was making the mess.
Man, let me tell you, I've been to people's homes, okay? And I remember this one person, and I've talked about this person on the show before when we were talking about hoarding. And, they're a well-to-do person. They've got money. It's a huge house. And the outside, perfect, freshly painted, nice landscape, and you walk into the house and your jaw just drops because you're like, I cannot believe this person has this brand new house, beautiful big house, and the inside of the house is totally trashed. It's completely trashed. And I'm like, what? This person is that sloppy, that dirty, and it's not even sloppy, they were dirty. And they live like this, yet they go outside and present that they're somewhat normal and healthy in a brand new, Armani suit or something like that, and then they come home to a dump on the inside.
And here's what happens. What happens if you like that? Obviously, both of them must live that way to be able to accept it.
Exactly, in order to accept it.
Right.
So, before you get married or hitched or live with somebody, you want to make sure you visit their living environment, their home environment first, and check it out. Because if somebody's been hoarding for all their lives, you know what I mean, and you think you're gonna move into their home and try to throw away items that aren't wanted,
if they're
they
living,
will fight you on that.
If they're living with roommates,
Right.
then what I would suggest is take a look at their parents' house.
Okay,
Because
there you go.
And that's
there
not
you go.
that's not always true, but it would give you a good general idea of how that person was brought up. If you go to their parents' house and stuff
Let
is
me
thrown
tell you
all
something.
around
I was listening to a Millionaire series, right? And Donald Trump was one of those people, and there were some other, high earning money makers on there.
Right.
And they said the first thing they would do before they hire somebody was say, okay, let's take a walk and go out to their car and see the state of their vehicle inside their vehicle. And a lot of us just throw things in the back, not realizing that, that's a problem. And the first thing is take a look at their vehicle and then, invite me over for dinner or something like that. And let me see your living environment, because how you treat your car and your home, guess what? You're going to treat my business like this. And I don't want anybody who's sloppy like that to be in my business. So,
and I've seen some cars that are really disgusting on the inside.
Okay.
People that drink bottled water, and when they're finished with it, throw the bottle in the back seat.
Yeah, but
There's
I'm
a pile of bottles back there.
Oh my gosh, this
Clean it out.
hour is flying so fast, and we haven't even talked about home improvements yet. So let's stop yapping. Gosh, you and I could just yap and yap and yap all day long. And okay, so home improvement, what to do if you're one of those folks. If you've got I'm going to talk about, you guys with, let's just start with a little apartment first, okay? Because you're like, you know what, it's not my home, I've got a landlord. Why should I pay to beautify somebody else's home, okay? Why should I pay? You know what, man? I'm not gonna say the department store, but a bucket of paint, does wonders, okay? You could go to a certain store, there's 2 of them in this area, and you could go to the paint section, and there's discounted paints that people who ask to have a color mixed, that didn't like the color, they put it on a little,
Right.
a little stand for like $5. So paints that would normally be $25 are on this stand for $5. And I'm cheap and I'm frugal and I have bought these paints.
Right.
And little trimming paints and small for like $1. So don't tell me that you're not going to spend money to beautify
And a
somebody
roller
else's
and a
home.
roller pan.
And a roller,
Nothing.
hello, like
Another
$5,
$5,
okay?
right.
So you could buy paint for like, let's just say $40 would do the whole thing,
Right.
and in a great, fabulous color. And Paul's going to talk about colors in a minute, and really change the appearance of your living space, of your environment, and it does wonders for your mood.
Right.
Okay, so.